In the world of strongman, one name stands above all others, not just for his victories, but for the sheer scope of his dominance. 4 World's Strongest Man titles, 8 Arnold Strongman Classic Championships, over 84 international victories, more than 20 world records. This is Žydrūnas Savickas, Big Z, the man who redefined what it means to be the strongest human alive. Biržai, Lithuania, 1975. A small city in the northern reaches of a nation still under Soviet rule. The Baltic winds cut through the streets of this ancient town, where medieval castles stand as monuments to strength and endurance. Into this world of harsh winters and harder realities, a giant is born. Žydrūnas Savickas enters life not as the imposing figure he would become, but as a child carrying the burden of difference. Even at birth, he is larger than other children. By childhood, the difference becomes pronounced. Where other boys are lean and quick, Žydrūnas is thick and powerful. Where others run and play, he moves with the deliberate force of someone carrying extra weight. In the schoolyards of Soviet Lithuania, difference is not celebrated. It's targeted. The mockery begins early. Fat boy, slow giant. The cruel inventiveness of children finding weakness and exploiting it. For a sensitive child, the words cut deeper than any physical blow. But in the Savickas household, a different lesson is being taught. His father, a man who understands the value of inner strength, watches his son absorb the criticism and sees potential where others see problems. Your size is not a curse. It's raw material. What you build from it is your choice, he tells young Žydrūnas. The words plant a seed, not of immediate transformation, but of possibility. The idea that what seems like weakness might actually be strength in disguise, that the very thing that makes him different might one day make him extraordinary. At 13, that possibility finds focus. His attraction to strength sports became apparent early, as he began powerlifting at 13, not through grand plans or athletic programs, but through necessity. The bullying continues, and Žydrūnas makes a decision. If he must be big, he will be strong. His introduction to organized strength comes through television. Žydrūnas Savickas first became interested in strength sports after watching a Lithuanian strongman contest on TV in 1989. The images on screen show men of impossible size moving impossible weights. Giants like himself, but transformed. Where he sees limitation, they demonstrate power. Where he feels awkward, they move with purpose. The local gym becomes his sanctuary. Not a modern facility with chrome and mirrors, but a Soviet-era weight room where function matters more than appearance. Rusted barbells, concrete weights, equipment built to last through decades of hard use. The perfect environment for someone learning that strength isn't about aesthetics. It's about moving weight. His progress is immediate and remarkable. By age 17, he had won Lithuania's national powerlifting championship, suggesting he was a rare and precious talent in strength athletics. The boy who was mocked for his size now dominates in competitions where size means power. But powerlifting, impressive as his achievements are, feels like preparation rather than destination. The static lifts, squat, bench press, deadlift, showcase his raw strength, but don't capture the full scope of what he's capable of. In the back of his mind, those television images of strongman competition linger. Men not just lifting weight, but carrying it, flipping it, hurling it through space. In 1992, at the age of 17, he competed in the same competition and surpassed more experienced competitors. His first strongman contest, the same Lithuanian event he had watched on television 3 years earlier. The circle completes itself. The viewer becomes competitor. The dreamer becomes participant. He doesn't win, doesn't even place particularly high. But something more important happens. He discovers his calling, the varied implements, the functional strength, the primal challenge of man against weight in its most basic form. This isn't just competition, it's transformation. The boy who was too big for childhood games has found games built for giants. The teenager who moved differently from his peers has discovered a world where different means dominant. The young man seeking identity has found it in the most elemental of pursuits, the quest to be the strongest human alive. Lithuania in the 1990s offers limited opportunities for strongman development. No specialized coaches, no established training programs. No clear path from amateur to professional. What it does offer is something perhaps more valuable: necessity. The need to build everything from scratch, to develop not just strength, but the systems to support that strength. Žydrūnas becomes his own coach, his own nutritionist, his own program designer. Every aspect of development must be figured out through trial and error. The approach isn't scientific or sophisticated, but it's thorough. When you have to build everything yourself, you develop an understanding that professionally trained athletes often lack. By the late 1990s, his reputation extends beyond Lithuania's borders. The giant from Biržai is making appearances at international competitions. Not yet winning, but learning. Each contest adding experience. Each defeat revealing areas for improvement. Each victory building confidence. The foundation is being laid, not just of muscle and power, but of the mindset that will carry him through decades of dominance. The understanding that strength isn't just physical capability, but mental resilience. That victory isn't just about moving weight, but about refusing to accept limitation. As the millennium approaches, Žydrūnas Savickas stands at the threshold of greatness, still largely unknown outside strongman circles, still learning his craft, still growing into the massive frame that will one day carry him to unprecedented achievements. The bullied child has become a force. The uncertain teenager has found his path. The young man is ready to become a legend. The year 2000 marks a turning point, not just in time, but in Žydrūnas Savickas' career trajectory. At 25, he has the physical tools, standing 6 feet 3 inches and carrying over 400 pounds of functional mass. But more importantly, he has developed the mental approach that separates champions from competitors. His early years of international competition taught him that raw strength, while necessary, isn't sufficient at the highest levels. The world's elite strongmen possess not just power, but strategy. Not just muscle, but intelligence about how to deploy that muscle most effectively. The 2001 season brings his first major breakthrough on the global stage. Multiple victories in European competitions establish him as more than a regional talent. He's now a legitimate threat to established champions. But with success comes greater expectations and more focused opposition. In 2001, he faced what many consider his defining moment, though the specific details of this moment speak to the larger pattern of his career. Every victory creating new challenges, every achievement raising the bar for what's expected next. His training evolves from enthusiastic amateur to systematic professional. The garage gym mentality remains, but now it's supplemented with sophisticated understanding of periodization, recovery, and event-specific preparation. He begins working with specialized coaches while maintaining the self-reliant approach that got him to this level. The Arnold Strongman Classic becomes his personal playground. Starting in 2003, he claims his first Arnold title, a victory that announces his arrival among the sport's elite. But one title isn't enough. Not for someone who has spent his entire athletic career exceeding expectations. 2004 brings another Arnold victory, then 2005. By 2006, it becomes clear that something unprecedented is happening. Savickas would win his first Arnold Strongman Classic Championship. He would follow this win up with 5 more straight wins at the event. These 6 straight championship wins would make Zydrunas the most winning athlete in the event. 6 consecutive Arnold titles, a level of dominance unseen in strongman's premier static strength competition. The Arnold victories establish a pattern that will define his career, not just winning, but overwhelming the competition. His approach to the log press, overhead press, and deadlift variations featured in Arnold events combines technical precision with raw power in ways that leave competitors scrambling to keep pace. His deadlift development becomes legendary within strength circles. The culmination comes in 2016 when Savickas etched his name in the history books by setting the world record in the deadlift with straps, an astounding 1,155 pounds. The number defies comprehension, more than half a ton lifted from the ground by human power alone. But World's Strongest Man, the sport's most prestigious title, proves more elusive. The varied format, outdoor conditions, and emphasis on speed and conditioning, alongside pure strength, create challenges different from his Arnold dominance. Multiple second and third place finishes accumulate, each one a disappointment, each one fuel for greater determination. The breakthrough finally comes in 2009, World's Strongest Man in Malta. After years of near misses, everything aligns. His conditioning has improved to match his strength. His event-specific technique has been refined through years of high-level competition. Most importantly, his mental approach has evolved from hoping to win to expecting to win. The victory is decisive, not a narrow triumph, but a statement of superiority. At 34, an age when many strongmen begin to decline, Žydrūnas is just hitting his peak. The first World's Strongest Man title validates what Arnold victories had suggested. He isn't just strong, he's stronger than anyone else. 2010 brings the second WSM title. Different location, same result. The consistency that marked his Arnold dominance now extends to strongman's biggest stage. 2 titles in consecutive years eliminate any questions about flukes or lucky circumstances. 2012 adds the third WSM crown. By now, his dominance is reshaping how competitors approach the sport. Training methods that seemed extreme when he introduced them become standard practice. Strength levels that seemed impossible when he first achieved them become minimums for elite competition. The fourth and final World's Strongest Man title comes in 2014 when he's 39 years old. An age when most strength athletes are retired or declining, Žydrūnas is still setting the standard. The victory demonstrates not just peak performance, but sustained excellence across more than a decade at the sport's highest level. Throughout his career, he competed in and won 84 international competitions, including 4 World's Strongest Man titles, 2 IFSA Strongman World Championships, a Fortissimus title, and a record 8 Arnold Strongman Classic titles, numbers that tell only part of the story. The complete picture includes the records, the dominance, and the redefinition of what's possible in strength sports. His record collection becomes almost comical in its scope. Not only has he accumulated titles, but he has also left an indelible mark on the sport by setting world records in log lift, deadlift, and squat, feats that have immortalized his name in the stronghold of strength athletics. He holds multiple world records such as the log lift. His record is 228 kilograms. The log press record, 502 pounds pressed overhead, represents the kind of strength that exists only in theory until someone like Žydrūnas makes it reality. By the mid-2010s, the question isn't whether he's the strongest man alive. That's been settled. The question is whether he's the strongest human who has ever lived. The statistical case is overwhelming. The visual evidence equally compelling. The competitive record speaks for itself. What emerges isn't just a champion, but a phenomenon. The main thing that I did was I won the most competitions ever in strongman sport, Savickas says. And it's difficult to repeat because the level of the athletes is more close. And it's difficult to dominate because everybody's strong now. The humble assessment reveals the reality of his achievement. He didn't just win more than anyone else. He won so much that he raised the sport's overall level to the point where his kind of dominance became nearly impossible to replicate. What separated Žydrūnas Savickas from other incredibly strong men wasn't just his physical gifts, but his approach to the technical aspects of strength. While many strongmen relied primarily on raw power, Big Z developed a sophistication in technique that multiplied his natural abilities. His deadlift form became a masterclass in biomechanical efficiency. This jaw-dropping feat showcases his unmatched strength and solidifies his position as a force to be reckoned with. But the record wasn't achieved through brute force alone. Video analysis of his heaviest pulls reveals subtle technical elements, foot positioning, bar path, breathing patterns that allowed him to maximize his leverages and minimize energy waste. The log press presented similar technical challenges. At 502 pounds, his world record required not just the strength to move the weight, but the timing and coordination to clean it to his chest and then drive it overhead in one fluid motion. The margin for error at that weight is non-existent. Perfect technique isn't just optimal, it's mandatory. His approach to training reflected this technical focus, while maintaining the high-volume, high-intensity work that built his massive strength base. He added layers of specificity that other strongmen often overlooked. Event practice wasn't just about moving the implements. It was about perfecting every aspect of the movement pattern. Recovery became equally sophisticated. What started as instinct evolved into science. Sleep optimization, nutrition timing, soft tissue work. Every factor that could influence performance received attention. Not obsessive micromanagement, but professional-level planning designed to sustain peak performance across a career spanning nearly 2 decades. His longevity in the sport testifies to this approach. Zydrūnas is not finished yet. Even as he moved past 40, an age when most strongmen have long retired, he continued competing at the highest levels. Not just participating, but remaining competitive with athletes 15 to 20 years younger. The business side of his career reflected the same methodical approach. Understanding that strength sport careers are finite, he developed multiple revenue streams: endorsements, appearances, training certifications, business ventures. The same analytical thinking that optimized his training optimized his financial future. His influence on younger competitors became part of his legacy. "You make one mistake, and you don't win," he observed about modern competition. The wisdom came from experience, decades of high-level competition, teaching him not just what worked, but why it worked and when it worked. Training footage from his prime years reveals the intensity that supported his dominance. Not wild, chaotic effort, but focused, purposeful work. Every repetition with intention. Every set building toward specific goals. The efficiency of movement that comes only from years of deliberate practice. His warm-up routines alone would challenge recreational lifters. The activation work, mobility sequences, and progressive loading that prepared his body for maximum efforts represented hours of development. What looked like natural ability was actually the result of systematic preparation. The mental side of his game received equal attention: visualization, routine development, pressure management, the psychological tools that allowed him to perform at his best when stakes were highest. Competition footage shows a man who appears relaxed even under maximum stress, the result of mental preparation as thorough as physical training. His dietary approach evolved with the sport's understanding of nutrition. Early in his career, the focus was simply consuming enough calories to fuel his massive frame and training demands. As nutritional science advanced, his approach became more sophisticated, while maintaining the fundamentals: adequate protein, strategic carbohydrate timing, micronutrient attention. Supplementation followed similar patterns, basic but effective protocols rather than exotic experimentation. The understanding that consistency matters more than innovation. That optimal is often simpler than maximal. His equipment choices reflected practical wisdom gained through experience. He developed relationships with manufacturers not just for sponsorship, but for genuine product development. His input helped create implements and accessories used throughout the strength community. The technical evolution visible across his career mirrors the sport's development. Early competition footage shows raw power applied with basic technique. Later performances reveal the refinement that comes from thousands of repetitions and constant analysis. The same lifts executed with greater efficiency and reduced energy expenditure. Teaching became another expression of his technical mastery. Seminars and instructional content revealed his ability to break down complex movements into learnable components. The champion's knowledge made accessible to developing athletes. The gift of experience passed forward to the next generation. His retirement from competition didn't end his technical development. Masters competitions allowed him to continue refining his craft while competing against age group peers. In 2018, he will be competing with the best in the world at Summermania, 2 World Championship, and the Master World Championship in Belfast as he defends his title. The transition from competitor to elder statesman showcased another aspect of his character: the willingness to continue growing even after achieving everything the sport offered. Not content to rest on past achievements, but driven to explore new challenges and maintain involvement in the community that shaped his life. In strength sports, debates about greatness usually center on statistics: who lifted the most weight, won the biggest competitions, set the most records. By those measures alone, Žydrūnas Savickas' case would be overwhelming. But what truly set him apart wasn't just the numbers, but how he achieved them and what he represented to the sport. The final tally spoke for itself: 4 World's Strongest Man titles, 8 Arnold Strongman Classics, 2 IFSA World Championships, 1 Fortissimus title, 1 Giants Live Championship, and over 80 other international victories. No strongman in history had won across such a broad spectrum of competitions. He remained the only modern athlete to claim victories at World's Strongest Man, Arnold Classic, Europe's Strongest Man, Fortissimus, and IFSA World Championships. But context mattered as much as numbers. His peak years coincided with what many consider the golden era of strongman competition. The depth of talent during the 2000s and 2010 was unprecedented. Mariusz Pudzianowski, Hafthor Björnsson, Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, and others who would have dominated in any previous generation. To consistently defeat such elite competition over nearly 2 decades demonstrated a level of superiority that transcended statistical comparison. What elevated Savickas beyond mere championship counts was his role as an innovator. The training methodologies he developed became standard practice throughout the sport. The strength levels he achieved forced entire generations of competitors to reimagine what was possible. His technical approaches to events influenced how strongman disciplines evolved. Perhaps most remarkably, he accomplished this while maintaining the humility and accessibility that endeared him to fans worldwide. No matter how hard the competition, I never cease to smile and find some time to talk to my fans afterward, he once said. This combination of dominance and character helped elevate strongman from niche spectacle to legitimate athletic pursuit. The business acumen he displayed post-competition added another dimension to his greatness. Successfully transitioning from athlete to entrepreneur demonstrated the same strategic thinking that made him unstoppable in competition. His ability to leverage strongman's success into broader opportunities showed intelligence that complemented his physical gifts. Modern strongman exists in his shadow. Current competitors train using methods he pioneered. They're measured against standards he established. Records he set remain largely untouched years after his retirement. When promoters like Ultimate Strongman declare him the greatest strongman that has ever lived, they reflect a consensus that extends throughout the strength community. The real debate isn't whether Žydrūnas Savickas deserves recognition as the greatest. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is whether anyone will ever match his unique combination of peak performance, sustained excellence, technical innovation, and transformative impact on strongman sport itself. Today, years after his competitive retirement, Žydrūnas Savickas's influence on strongman competition remains as powerful as the weights he once moved. His records stand as monuments to human potential. His techniques continue guiding elite athletes. His approach to training and competition provides blueprints for excellence that transcend strength sports. No matter how hard the competition, I never cease to smile and find some time to talk to my fans afterward. The humility that characterized his personality throughout his dominance remains intact. The same man who lifted impossibly heavy weights maintains the accessibility and warmth that endeared him to fans worldwide. In Lithuania, he represents more than athletic achievement. He embodies national pride and the realization of potential against long odds. The bullied child from Biržai became his country's most recognizable athlete and one of its most successful ambassadors to the world. His transformation from overweight teenager to history's strongest man provides inspiration that extends far beyond strength sports. The story demonstrates that perceived weaknesses can become incredible strengths when approached with proper mindset and relentless work ethic. The technical innovations he brought to strongman competition continue influencing how events are approached and executed. His training methods, once considered extreme, became standard practice for elite competitors. His attention to recovery and longevity changed how strength athletes manage their careers. His business ventures and post-competition activities showcase the same methodical approach that characterized his training. Success in multiple domains demonstrating that the qualities that made him the world's strongest man translate to other challenges and opportunities. The records he established may eventually be broken. Human performance continues evolving, and future generations of strength athletes will push current boundaries. But the breadth and consistency of his achievements across nearly 2 decades of elite competition may never be replicated. Modern strongman competitions are conducted in the shadow of his legacy. Commentators reference his performances when describing current achievements. Competitors are measured against standards he established. His influence permeates every aspect of contemporary strength sports. His approach to training, the combination of high volume, technical precision, and systematic recovery, became the template for strongman preparation. What once seemed like obsessive attention to detail is now recognized as necessary professionalism for elite-level competition. The mental qualities he demonstrated, resilience, consistency, competitive drive maintained across decades, provide models for achieving sustained excellence in any demanding pursuit. His career arc illustrates what's possible when talent meets opportunity and unrelenting work ethic. His international success helped elevate strongman from niche sport to global entertainment. His performances attracted mainstream attention and demonstrated the athletic skill required for elite strength competition. His professionalism helped legitimize strongman as serious sport rather than spectacle. The generation of strongmen who followed built upon foundations he established. Training methods, competitive approaches, professional standards, all evolved from precedents he set during his competitive prime. His influence extends through every current elite athlete who learned from his example. Years from now, when strength historians compile lists of the sport's greatest athletes, Žydrūnas Savickas will occupy a unique position, not just as the most successful competitor, but as the man who redefined what strength could accomplish and how it should be pursued. The boy who transformed childhood mockery into motivation. The teenager who turned perceived weakness into extraordinary strength. The young man who built systematic excellence from individual determination. The champion who proved that greatness isn't accidental, but constructed through thousands of deliberate choices. From the gyms of Soviet Lithuania to the pinnacle of international strength sports, from bullied child to beloved champion, from local talent to global icon. The journey of Žydrūnas Savickas represents transformation in its most complete form. In strongman circles, debates about greatness will continue as long as the sport exists. New champions will emerge, records will be broken, and different eras will be compared. But when the discussions turn to sustained excellence, technical mastery, competitive achievement, and overall impact, one name will continue appearing at the top of every list. Big Z, the greatest of all time, Žydrūnas Savickas.